have you?
Hey everybody. Alright, welcome back to another episode of The Artist Reads the Bible. Today we're doing, episode 5. Tonight's going to be just a one chapter deal again. I'm getting into some really long-winded chapters, so yeah, we'll be doing probably tonight and the next episode probably be one chapter deals, but that's okay, we'll get through it. I got my highlighter, got my Java juice, my coffee. I just got me some up, and we're going to be doing chapter 8 today. So let me get the glasses off so I can actually see. And I need to get to the VA, give me another set of glasses, what I need to do. Alright. Here we go. Chapter 8 of Luke, by the way. This is Luke 8. And I'm reading out of New Living Translation, those that didn't know. With a very heavy Bible. Oh my gosh, this thing's so heavy. Soon afterward, Jesus began a tour of the nearby towns and villages, preaching and announcing the good news about the kingdom of God. He took his 12 disciples with him, along with some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Among them were Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. A lot of demons up in somebody. Joanna, the wife of Chuza, Herod's business manager, Susanna, and many others who were contributing from their own resources to support Jesus and his disciples. Excuse me, I used my nose spray, my Flonase, I don't know what it's called. It's getting some drainage. One day, Jesus told a story in the form of a parable to a large crowd that had gathered from many towns to hear him. A farmer went out to plant his seed. As he scattered it across his field, some seed fell on a footpath where it was stepped on, and the birds ate it. Other seed fell among rocks. It began to grow, but the plant soon wilted and died for lack of moisture. Other seed fell among thorns that grew up with it and choked out the tender plants. Still other seeds fell on fertile soil. This seed grew and produced a crop that was 100 times as much as he had planted. I'm going to mark this because he's talking about us. I'll tell you why here in a minute. Let me go ahead and mark this part. This is a pretty good part. Okay. When he had said this, he called out, "Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand." All right, well, I'll just let Jesus explain it instead of me. Then you get it directly from the man. Well, it's not man. He was man, but he's not man anymore. His disciples asked him what this parable meant. He replied, "You're permitted to understand the secrets of the kingdom of God. But I use parables to teach the others so that Scripture might be fulfilled. When they look, they won't really see. When they hear, they won't understand." This is the meaning of the parable. The seed is God's word, what we're reading right now. The seeds that fell on the footpath represent those who hear the message only to have the devil come and take it away from their hearts and prevent them from believing and being saved. The seeds on the rocky soil represent those who hear the message and receive it with joy. But since they don't have deep roots, they believe for a while, then they fall away when they face temptation. Let's see. The seeds that fell among the thorns represent those who hear the message, but all too quickly the message is crowded out by the cares and riches and pleasures of this life. See, we get tempted a lot, don't we, but this is what we talked about 1 or 2 episodes ago. I don't remember, where we talk about, wanting what we don't have, wanting what the neighbor has, wanting more money, wanting a better house, wanting, to go on that nice cruise or go on that nice vacation. And there's nothing wrong with going on vacation. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with this stuff. But sometimes when you want, what you don't have, when you seek the things that you don't have, we tend to lose sight of what God's already provided us. You know what I mean? So sometimes we need to be content with what God has given us. And trust me, if God wants you to have more, you will receive more. It's all in His will. Now, where was I? Yep. Riches and pleasures of this life, and so they never grow into maturity. And the seeds that fell on the good soil represent honest, good-hearted people who hear God's word, cling to it, and patiently produce a huge harvest. No one lights a lamp and then covers it with a bowl or hides it under a bed. A lamp is placed on a stand where its light can be seen by all who enter the house. For all that is secret will eventually be brought into the open, and everything that is concealed will be brought to light and made known to all. So pay attention to how you hear. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given. But for those who are not listening, even what they think they understand will be taken away from them. Then Jesus' mother and brothers came to see him, but they couldn't get to him because of the crowd. Someone told Jesus, "Your mother and your brothers are standing outside, and they want to see you." Jesus replied, "My mother and my brothers are all those who hear God's word and obey it." One day Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and started out. As they sailed across, Jesus settled down for a nap. But soon a fierce storm came down on the lake. The boat was filled with water, and they were in real danger. The disciples went and woke him up, shouting, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. Suddenly the storm stopped and all was calm. Then he asked them, "Where is your faith?" That's a very important word. Faith. Where is your faith? That one's hard, isn't it? We like to say we have faith, and this one I struggle with myself. Kind of facing my own mortality kind of thing with my heart. I like to say I have faith. I like to say that I'm putting it in God's hands. But when I constantly worry about my heart, and I constantly worry about what the doctor's going to say next, and I'm constantly worrying about, am I going to be dead in a year, 5 years, 10 years, how long do I have left? It's not really putting faith in God, is it? So that's a tough one. The kind of faith, there are people in the Bible that had the kind of faith that many of us could only dream of, could imagine having. They trusted without question, and they, but I think maybe it was a little easier back in those days. You know what I mean? Because back in those days, they didn't have the temptation of technology. They didn't have, they didn't have TV. They didn't have the news. They didn't have, their cell phones. They didn't have, all this temptation we have nowadays. They didn't have, it was a much simpler time. You know what I mean? And, I'm not making excuses by any means. I'm just saying, I think maybe in some instances, I think maybe it was a little easier for them to have faith because they weren't surrounded by constant temptation. You know what I mean? And, but it is hard, isn't it? But I have noticed a few times when I have managed to just, I pray and I say, God, I'm going to put this into your hands. Your will be done, not mine. And then I try to forget about it. I have noticed that I become overcome with a sense of peace and calmness, and I feel like he's got this. He's got it under control. You know what I mean? I've done that with financial things. I've done that with this house we're in. Everybody was like, "You need to pick a house. You need to pick a house," and I was like, "When God wants me to have a house, He'll provide it," and He provided this house at a price we just could not pass up, and it was pretty much exactly at the amount that we needed it to be at. So that told me that that was God, and I put it in His hands, and He provided, and that's faith. But sometimes it's hard, isn't it? But we all just got to try to do a little better. The disciples were terrified and amazed. "Who is this man?" "Well, you should know. You've been following him, just saying." They asked each other. "When he gives a command, even the wind and waves obey him." You would think these disciples that have been following him would know that he is the Son of God. Some people, just including myself, a little hard-headed, I guess. So they arrived in the region of, here's another one of them words, of the Gerasenes. I don't know. Forgive me if I butchered that. Across the lake from Galilee. As Jesus was climbing out of the boat, a man who was possessed by demons came out to meet him. Seems to be a lot of demon possession back in those days. To be honest, I think we probably got even more now, though. Some of the things I see in this world. For a long time, he had been homeless and naked, living in the tombs outside the town. As soon as he saw Jesus, he shrieked and fell down in front of him. Then he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Please, I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had already commanded the evil spirit to come out of him. This spirit had often taken control of the man. Even when he was placed under guard and put in chains and shackles, he simply broke them and rushed out into the wilderness, completely under the demon's power. See, this is a thing. Sometimes people fail to realize this. The devil can provide you things too. He can provide you with riches. He can provide you with, certain elements in your life, certain things. And you may think that this is God's doing, and it's not. It's the devil. Just like here, they chained this man, and the devil, this demon, gave him the strength to break those chains. The devil does have power. You got to remember, Satan was actually an archangel. He was actually it talks about he was the most beautiful angel in heaven. But God had to cast him out because he rebelled against God. But you got to remember, Satan does have power, so don't confuse what Satan is offering you compared to what God is offering you, because Satan will sometimes give you what you want to entice you to turn from God, but God will give you what you need. God will always provide a way for you. God will always take care of you. But Satan may entice you with things, that you don't necessarily need. And you probably don't need that, but he provided this to try to lure you away from God's love. So keep this in mind. Okay, where are we at? Jesus demanded, "What is your name?" Legion, he replied, for he was filled with many demons. Probably why he had strength breaking chains, huh? The demons kept begging Jesus not to send them into the bottomless pit. Well, that's where they come from, so what? There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby, and the demons begged him to let them enter into the pigs. So Jesus gave them permission. Then the demons came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the entire herd plunged down the steep hillside into the lake and drowned. Okay, and that's that part. It was a little confusing to me. The demons didn't want to go into the bottomless pit. Okay, so they went into the pigs, and all the pigs went off the cliff and into a lake and drowned. So once they drowned, the demon kind of goes back where they come from, wasn't it? Which is the bottomless pit, hell. It's a little confusing, but I don't know. When the herdsmen saw it, they fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what had happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been freed from the demons. He was sitting at Jesus' feet, fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. Then those who had seen what happened told the others how the demon-possessed man had been healed. And all the people in the region of there's that word again, Gerasenes, I don't know, begged Jesus to go away and leave them alone, for a great wave of fear swept over them. You think they'd be thankful, but... So Jesus returned to the boat and left, crossing back to the other side of the lake. The man who had been freed from the demons begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him home, saying, "No, go back to your family and tell them everything God has done for you." You see, there's another clue right there. Jesus drove these demons out. But what did he tell this man? No, go back to your family and tell them everything God has done for you. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus is part of the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So he went all through the town proclaiming the great things Jesus had done for him. On the other side of the lake, the crowds welcomed Jesus because they had been waiting for him. Then a man named Jairus, a leader of the local synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come home with him. His only daughter, who was about 12 years old, was dying. As Jesus went with him, he was surrounded by the crowds. A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding. Good grief, that poor woman. And she could find no cure. You'd think she would have bled out. I don't know. Coming up behind Jesus, she touched the fringe of his robe. Immediately, the bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. Everyone denied it, and Peter said, "Master, this whole crowd is pressing up against you." But Jesus said, "Someone deliberately touched me, for I felt healing power go out from me." When the woman realized that she could not stay hidden, she began to tremble and fell to her knees in front of him. The whole crowd heard her explain why she had touched him and that she had been immediately healed. "Daughter," he said to her, "your faith has made you well. Go in peace." See, there it is again, faith. This woman who had suffered for 12 years constant bleeding knew that all she had to do was touch Jesus' robe. Just not hear a word from him. Her faith was so strong that she knew if she only touched him that she would be healed. And she believed she would be healed, so she was healed. That's strong faith there. "Made you well, go in peace." While he was still speaking to her, a messenger arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. He told him, "Your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now." But when Jesus heard what had happened, he said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just have faith and she will be healed." Again, faith. When they arrived at the house, Jesus wouldn't let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, James, and the little girl's father and mother. The house was filled with people weeping and wailing. But he said, "Stop the weeping. She isn't dead. She's only asleep." But the crowd laughed at him because they all knew she had died. Then Jesus took her by the hand and said in a loud voice, "My child, get up." And at that moment her life returned, and she immediately stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were overwhelmed, but Jesus insisted that they not tell anyone what had happened. And that's chapter 8. Talked a lot about faith in there, didn't it? In that chapter, we had the parable of the seeds, talking about different people who hear God's word. We talked a lot about faith. Which, like I said, is faith is easy to say, isn't it? Faith is very easy to say. Well, I have faith. I have faith in God. God will protect me. But do you truly have faith? I've heard that a lot during this coronavirus, especially from Christians. I'm going to go out. I'm not going to wear my mask because God will protect me. I have faith, which is important. But number one, do you truly have faith strong enough to protect you from a virus that very well could kill you? That's the level of faith that, who was it? Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. I probably butchered that third name. Where they were put in the fire in a furnace, but they had so much faith in God that the fire did not touch them. It did not singe their clothes. It did not do anything. God protected them, and they were not burnt. Do you really have that kind of faith to where you could go walk in flames and not get burnt? Think about this. Or do you think maybe you want to be a little smart about this and be a little cautious? Because remember, like I read in the couple chapters back, when Satan tempted Jesus in the desert for 40 days, he told Jesus, I want you to go on top of that synagogue, jump off, and God will send his angels to catch you. He'll protect you. And Jesus said, it says in the scripture, do not test God. When you test God, a lot of times you're going to find out just how much power God really has. And those of you that, want to ignore the signs of maybe you should be cautious right now, you might be testing God, and he may very well, God will not deliberately hurt you, but it does speak in the Bible that he may allow things to happen if you have, so, don't test God, because you will, that's a game you're not going to win ever. You're talking about God, the one that created everything. Created you, me, the universe, our world. Every little everything, came from God. Even this coffee cup. No, God didn't directly create this coffee cup. However, God did create the person and gave them the knowledge that was able to create this coffee cup. So, I want you to think about that right now. Especially here in Indiana, we are currently second, not first, not third, second in the entire nation for COVID related hospitalizations. A lot of our local hospitals are at critical capacity because people are not following guidelines. Like I said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, believing you have faith, believing that God is going to protect you. This is a good thing, but you also have to remember you're not to test God. If I go, I don't know, I don't think we got any really high cliffs around here, but if I went somewhere, okay, Grand Canyon, and I just said, well, God's going to protect me, and I jump off. Now there is a chance he could. If it's not my time to go, he very well may protect me. He might leave me a vegetable to teach me a lesson, but, chances are, what do you think's going to happen? I'm probably going to die. Because you've got to remember, God gave us free will, and he did that for a reason. God did not want mindless robots. He gave us free will because he wanted us to willingly accept him into our hearts. He wanted us to willingly seek him out, seek his love, his guidance, his wisdom, his power. He wanted us to try to find him, to fill our hearts with him. And if we were just some mindless robot, it doesn't mean as much, does it? But when something that has free will makes the conscious effort and decision to worship God, to praise God, to follow God's commandments, to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, then that means a lot, doesn't it? Coming from somebody with free will. So keep that in mind. Yes, God can and a lot of times will protect you, especially if you're one of his followers. But also remember, you're not to test God. You got to remember back in Egypt when the plague came through and he took the firstborn sons. What did he tell the Israelites? Stay in your house and put lamb's blood above your door. That will let my angel know not to enter that home, not to take your son. So, maybe this is one of those cases where God's trying to tell us, stay in home. Maybe he's doing all this for a reason, just like he did in Egypt. Sometimes we think we know what's going on. We think we know what's best, but we don't. Only God knows what's best, and only God knows what's going on. As it says in the Bible, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Not Brian's will, not your will, God's will. Sometimes we don't like what God's will is, but you know what? He's God, and he always has a plan. And sometimes his plan doesn't meet up with our selfish desires or our, what we expect out of life, but he always has a plan. And, y'all do what you want. I'm still going to love you regardless, but I do want to tell you, I've pretty much been a prisoner of my home since February, people, since this all started, because with my heart and my COPD, and technically I am diabetic, I just don't take any medicine because I exercise like a fool and trying to lose weight, so I don't have to take any medicine. But I kind of got the trifecta going there. If I get this crap, I'm probably done. That's the end of me, and the bad thing is this thing does not end. It just continues because people will not follow the guidelines. Wear your mask, stay at home unless you absolutely have to go to work or you have to go get food. You know, I heard at the beginning of this people saying, well, if you're scared or you're high risk, just stay at home. Well, me and my wife have been, but it's been 9 months, folks. 9 months. And we have basically been in a living prison for 9 months. No, that is not directly your fault. You didn't make us high risk. I understand this. However, if you would choose to just think of others and just please wear your mask and just please stay at home unless you have to, at least until they come out with this vaccine, folks, and they start getting it distributed around. Because my doctor, told me, I'm not going to lie to you, my doctor told me I'll be doing good to get 10 years left. And he said, just enjoy the life you have left. 10 years can be a long time if you just live it. Well, I can't right now because I can't leave my house. I can't go in and eat anywhere. I have not stepped foot in a Walmart or a Kroger's since February. We do all pickup where they bring it out. We have to. I have no choice. Nobody's allowed at my house except for my uncle, and he's just as cautious as we are, if not a little worse. I don't go to anybody else's house. For 9 months, this basically has been our prison. And, I can't enjoy my life and I can't go live my life until this stuff is over. I'm going to ask this as nice as I can, people. I'm not going to try to berate you. I'm not going to name call. I'm not going to get mad here. I'm asking, I'm not asking, I'm begging you. Please, 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 for people like my sake, please start wearing your mask. Please stay home unless you absolutely have to go out. So that eventually we can live our lives. I would love to go to the zoo or go to the art museum. I love the art museum. I can't go because most people will not wear their mask. And I've already been told if I get this, it's pretty much a death sentence for me. My life will be over. I mean, my life's already been cut short due to my heart failure, but if I have 10 years left, if I catch this COVID, I have maybe months left, if that. And those last days will be spent in a hospital with a ventilator, dying by myself. And that thought, I'm not going to lie, that thought just absolutely petrifies me. It literally scares me to my core because I don't want to die alone, especially if it could have been prevented. Please, I'm begging y'all, please think of others during this. I understand it's not your fault. You didn't make these people high risk. You didn't make me have a heart attack. You didn't make me have COPD from smoking for 32 years. You didn't make me, eat that food that gave me diabetes. I understand this. But don't you think 9 months is long enough? I mean, it has to end sometimes, folks. And it's not going to end until you start to follow the guidelines so that they can get this all under control. It's not fake and it's not a hoax, folk. Um, I have a friend from New York. This poor woman has gotten COVID 3 times in like, oh wow, 3 or 4 months period of time. 2 of those 3 times she was on a ventilator, one of which she was on a ventilator for, I want to say, like 14, 15 days. I don't know. I could be wrong there. But I mean, that's reality. Um, and she's not that old. She was in her 30s, early 40s. She's actually a model. She's not obese. She doesn't have diabetes. She doesn't have heart disease like me. She doesn't have COPD. Well, that I know of. And that one I'm not sure of. Um, she otherwise was perfectly healthy. And this thing about killed her 3 times. Um, it's real, folks. It's real. And this is not the flu. This is way worse than the flu. And a lot of people that just 4 or 5 months ago that I seen saying, oh, it's just a hoax, you'll be fine, it only affects the elderly, it only affects this. They now have COVID. And a couple of them aren't doing so good. Please, I'm begging y'all, for the sake of others, please. It's just, I don't have one in here, I don't think. It's just a paper mask, you know. And let me dispel a myth here. Um, I've seen a lot of people say, well, I've known people that wore a mask and they still got COVID. Well, all right, let me explain this to you. Say I wear a mask and I go out in public and nobody else is wearing a mask. If one of them happens to be what they call asymptomatic, a carrier, but not showing symptoms, and they happen to sneeze or cough near me, those particles, the mask will not keep COVID particles out. But so that if they're not wearing a mask, all that traveled through the air and I'm going to breathe it in, even though I'm wearing a mask. Wearing a mask prevents maybe 2% of it. However, if they are wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask, now if they sneeze or cough with that mask on, most of the particles are trapped inside that mask, and only a very minute amount exit that mask. And then by the time it gets to my mask greatly reduces it too. Well, 2%, whatever. So the combination of the two cuts your risk in half of developing COVID by like 50, I want to say it's 50 to 70%. I don't know the exact science here. But there is a big misconception thinking that if you wear a mask, you're protected from COVID. You're not. You can wear a mask all day long, but if Joe over here is not wearing a mask and he happens to be a carrier and he coughs or sneezes or gets near close enough to you, you're going to catch COVID whether you're wearing a mask or not, because Joe was not considerate enough to wear a mask. So now Joe has infected however many people he infected, and now that's how it spreads. So please be considerate, folks. I'm not asking, I'm begging you. Please be considerate of others so that we can get through this as a country. This year has just, it's been trash. This year is just garbage, man. It's, you know, but next year doesn't have to be that way. You know, I'm begging you, please think of someone else and think of their circumstance. You know, there's people, a lot of people, I mean, a lot. I talk to them all the time. There are a lot of people like me and my wife that we can't go into Walmart. We can't go we can get carry out, but we cannot go into an actual restaurant and sit down and eat. Um, we can't, and I'm gonna be honest with you. There's some places we can't even do carry out. My wife wanted Mexican food the other day from the one up by Marsh's here in Newcastle, and we were going to do carry out. And she started to go in. She turned around. She came right back out. And I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "There's about 20 people standing up around the register, and not a single person has a mask on. And they're pretty much elbow to elbow in that little area." And I said, "Oh, well, that ain't good at all. Even you wearing a mask ain't going to help nothing with that." And we left um, because, you know, because people were being inconsiderate and they weren't wearing their mask. So, like I said, anyway, I'm just asking, I'm begging you, please be considerate of others so that we can, those of us who have stayed at home, can live our lives again with some form of normalcy, especially someone like me that may only have 5 or 10 years of my life left. You know, don't I deserve to lead a normal life? What part I have left? I mean, is it really so much to ask for you to wear a little paper mask so that eventually I can get back out and go to the places I love going to so that I can enjoy what part of my life I have left? That's all I'm saying, folks. Anyway, I'm going to hop off here. I do truly love each and every one of you. I hope I didn't come off too overbearing, too demanding, or whatever. That was not my intention. I just wanted to try to show you a different perspective of this. Somebody that this thing has hit hard. I don't know for sure if I've had COVID. I don't think I have. But, this is a perspective. I've been a prisoner in my own home for 9 months now, folks. I mean, since February, going on 10 months now. And, you know, I don't know how much time I have left, but what time I have left, I couldn't have Thanksgiving with my family. Um, I couldn't, I can't, I've not seen my child because she works on an ambulance and they've transported quite a few COVID people, and I can't, I can't be around her, and that kills me. I can't see my kid, and I know a lot of you don't think of those different aspects, how it affects different people's lives. Is it really worth, those 20 people that went to that Mexican restaurant? I understand supporting your local businesses, but you didn't have to go in to eat. You could have got carry out, you know, and that would have solved a lot of problems. Or at the minimum, when you were done eating, put your mask on, please. It's called please have consideration for others, um, especially in today's world where there's so much hate, so much anger, so much, well, so much of the devil. And we need to overcome this. And the only way to do that is with love, people. So, anyway, I'm going to hop off here. I truly love each and every one of you. Please, 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 I'm begging you, please be good to each other. Please consider wearing your mask and staying home unless you can't, and I'll bring you something again real soon.